Opening the batting in Test cricket is the toughest job in the sport. The new ball, fresh bowlers, toughest conditions. Yet some players didn't just survive, they mastered it. Today we are ranking Test openers with at least 100 innings into 7 levels, and this is based off various aspects. Level 1, the consistently inconsistent. Every player in this level had enough talent to stay, but not enough consistency to rise. Zack Crawley is the obvious starting point. Few modern openers look better when everything clicks. The cover drives are beautiful, the scoring is fluent, and for short periods he can look like a future great. The problem is that those periods never lasted long enough. After more than 100 innings as an opener, the output still falls well short of what history expects from a top-class Test opener. The talent keeps the conversation alive, the numbers keep him here. Kraigg Brathwaite arrives at the same destination through a completely different route. There is nothing flashy about him, no explosive stroke play, no intimidating presence, just resilience. More than 6,000 runs opening for West Indies is a serious achievement, particularly in an era where support was often limited. But Brathwaite built his career on endurance rather than authority. He survived attacks, but he rarely took control of them. Level 2, the little sparks. These are the players who showed genuine quality, sometimes world-class quality, but never turned into a prolonged dominance. For Bangladesh, Tamim Iqbal was more than an opener. He was a statement. Centuries in England, New Zealand and the West Indies proved that he could perform beyond home comforts. For years he carried Bangladesh's batting ambitions on his shoulders. The issue wasn't quality, it was continuity. Tamim's career is remembered through highlights rather than sustained dominance. Dimuth Karunaratne spent years doing cricket's most thankless job, holding Sri Lanka together while the golden generation disappeared around him. Nearly 7,000 runs and an average around 40 tells you how effective he was. But Karunaratne's story is built on reliability rather than supremacy. He was trusted everywhere. He was rarely the standard everyone else chased. Mohammad Hafiz was a valuable Test cricketer and an important figure for Pakistan. He had the technique, temperament and occasional brilliance needed to succeed at the top level as an opener in Test cricket. What he never quite developed was the consistency required to leave a lasting mark as an opener. Good career, good player, just not a defining opener. Level 3, the grinders. Every great Test side needs players like these, the ones who make bowlers work for every breakthrough. Dean Elgar looked like he treated batting as a personal battle. Nothing came easily and he seemed to enjoy it that way. Opening in South Africa is among the hardest jobs in Test cricket and Elgar willingly did it for over a decade. His value came from resilience, stubbornness and sheer determination. The problem is that resilience alone rarely shapes errors. KL Rahul is one of the most difficult players to place. At his best, he looked capable of reaching almost any level on this list. Centuries in England, Australia and South Africa prove that. Few modern openers have shown that level of overseas ability. But every time it felt like Rahul was about to establish himself among the elite, the momentum disappeared. His career became a collection of reminders as of now rather than a sustained statement. He's still active though, he can probably better it. Tom Latham may be the most quietly successful opener of his generation. More than 6,000 runs, an average around 40 and very few obvious weaknesses when he bats. He turned consistency into a career. The challenge is that consistency really turned into dominance. Latham was dependable everywhere without becoming the benchmark everywhere. Murali Vijay is one of the biggest victims of cricket's short memory. For a few years he solved India's biggest Test problem, opening overseas. England, Australia, New Zealand all saw Vijay produce some great and some gutsy innings of real substance. His issue wasn't quality, it was timing. Just when it felt his career was reaching another level, the peak disappeared and he disappeared. Level 4, top class. Now we are talking about players who became reference points. Marwan Atapattu's career is one of the greatest acts of stubbornness in cricketing history. After one of the worst starts imaginable, most players would have disappeared. Instead, he reinvented himself into a run machine capable of enormous scores. Double centuries became common for him. Concentration became a superpower. His comeback story is so remarkable that it sometimes overshadows how good he actually became as an opener for Sri Lanka. Andrew Strauss gave England certainty at the top. More than 7,000 runs over 20 centuries and success across multiple countries made him one of England's most dependable modern openers. He was never the most exciting player on the field, he rarely needed it to be. Strauss built a career on reliability and intelligence rather than brilliance. Herschel Gibbs might be the brightest what-if on the list. Few openers possessed his natural gifts. He could attack, defend, and dominate with equal ease. On his day, he looked capable of anything, of any level on this list. The frustrating part is that his talent suggested an even greater career than the one he produced. He also averaged 47 as a test opener. He was great. Graeme spent years collecting runs like it was a full-time job. Nearly 9,000 test runs as an opener, immense longevity and remarkable consistency make him one of England's greatest. Yet, when people discuss the openers who changed the role itself, Gooch's name doesn't appear as often. He mastered the craft, others reshaped it. Mike Atherton is impossible to judge without context. His era featured Ambrose, Walsh, Donald, McGrath, Wasim, Waqar. That's not a bowling lineup, that's a reoccurring nightmare for him. Atherton's record deserves far more respect than the raw numbers suggest. Still, his reputation rests as much on the difficulty of the challenge as the size of the achievements. Before Chris Gayle became a T20 icon, he was already one of the most dangerous test openers in the world. 2 triple centuries, match-changing aggression, the ability to destroy attacks in a session to change a game in a session. The issue is that his greatness in test cricket often arrived in bursts. The very best make excellence feel normal. Desmond Haynes might be the most underrated opener here. More than 7,000 runs and 18 centuries would make him the greatest opener in several cricketing nations. Unfortunately, history remembers him as Greenwich's batting partner rather than Haynes himself sometimes. That's unfair, but it's reality. Mark Taylor did almost everything well. He scored runs, led Australia successfully, and built one of the strongest opening records of his era. His challenge is that he lacked the single defining trait that separates great players from unforgettable ones. Level 5, the elite. These players didn't just succeed, they became standards. David Warner changed the image of a modern opener. More than 8,000 runs over 25 centuries and scoring rates that looked ridiculous for a test opener, especially with his sample size. Warner could change the direction of a match in a single session. His greatness is secure. The away record simply leaves a small gap between him and further greatness as a test opener. Justin Langer spent years proving that relentless determination can be as effective as natural brilliance. Alongside Hayden, he formed one of the greatest opening partnerships cricket has ever seen. His success wasn't built on flair, it was built on refusing to give bowlers an easy day. Jeffrey Boycott would probably hate how little he cares about entertainment value. His job was scoring runs, and he did that better than anyone else in his era. Discipline, concentration, and an average close to 50 made him one of England's greatest opening batters. Gordon Greenwich combined intimidation with consistency. Powerful enough to dominate attacks and disciplined enough to survive them. He became one half of the most feared opening pair in cricket. Few players balanced aggression and reliability so effectively. Level 6, the legends. Bill Lawry belongs here because his excellence was his default setting. An average approaching 50 in an era that offered batters very little comfort speaks volumes about his quality. He was an incredible player, Bill Lawry. Matthew Hayden didn't just open the batting, he imposed himself on it. Standing at the crease with the bat that looked closer to a piece of furniture, Matthew Hayden turned opening into an act of intimidation. More than 8,000 runs, 30 centuries, and one of the most dominating peaks any opener has ever produced. For several years, he wasn't merely succeeding, he was overwhelming attacks. Virender Sehwag broke cricket's rules. Before Sehwag, openers were expected to survive. Sehwag decided survival was optional. 2 triple centuries, a strike rate above 80 and an average near 50 make him the most destructive opener the format has ever seen. He didn't just score runs, he changed the way people thought about opening the batting. Level 7, the greatest. At some point, longevity stops being a supportive argument for you and becomes the argument. Nobody accumulated more runs opening the batting than Sir Alastair Cook. More than 12,000 runs over 30 centuries across the world and nearly 300 innings at the top of the order. Over a decade, England handed him the hardest job in cricket and he kept doing it successfully. Len Hutton spent decades as the benchmark. An average above 55 as an opener remains one of the strongest records the game has ever seen. Sustaining that level over such a long period is extraordinary. Sunil Gavaskar changed expectations forever. The first man to 10,000 test runs and the man who proved that opening batters could fight back against the greatest bowlers in the world. His achievements weren't just statistical, they were cultural. And then there is Graeme Smith. Most openers spend their careers trying to survive. Graeme Smith spent his career captaining one of the best teams in the world while still averaging close to 50 at the top of the order. More than 9,000 test runs, more than 25 centuries, success virtually everywhere in the world, Add leadership on top of that, and his case becomes unique. When we combine longevity, overseas success, responsibility, and production, very few opening careers stand taller. That's why Graeme Smith belongs among the greatest. So that's my ranking of Test cricket's opening batters in different levels with at least 100 innings. And honestly, if you're a cricket fan, there is probably at least one placement in here that annoyed you. And that's good. Tell me which one in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and join us for deep dives into cricket's greatest players, teams, and rivalries. I will see you in the next